Hello, welcome to Inside the Birds Postgame Live. It's Geoff Mosher and Adam Caplan, and we're joined as always by Eagles Hall of Fame offensive tackle Trey Thomas. The Eagles come out of the bye, and it's just like they went into the bye. Another game, another win. They improved to 7-0 with a 35-13 win over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, the irony, because the last time they were 7-0 was 2004. Trey Thomas was on that team. He was the starting left tackle, and the first loss of that year came to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But Trey, that was in Pittsburgh. Here in Philadelphia, the Pittsburgh Steelers have not won since 1965. This is their 10th straight loss, and here we are another week. 10th straight loss in Philly. Here we are another week talking about the possibility of the undefeated season going on.
Doesn't that sound good?
It does. It sounds
Doesn't that sound good? You're starting to believe it a little bit, huh?
I gotta say, yeah.
Come on. Yeah, it's okay.
Look at that schedule, man. Look at the schedule.
Yeah.
It's really well, folks. Just saying.
It could happen.
Were you, Trey, coming out of the bye, you never know what to expect. And sometimes teams come out rusty. You were on a team or you played for a franchise and a head coach who was the best and is the best ever in the sports history at getting his team prepared to win after the bye in Andy Reid. What is the big key for just making sure the team is ready to go when they're coming off a bye, especially when they've been as successful as they've been?
I think one of the things that you have to have the right leadership within that locker room. Coaches can wheel it all they want. You got to have guys within that locker room that says, all right, hey, look, we got to come out and be on point. And I think that that's one of the things that this team has, especially this group here. You have a really good group of guys within that locker room that's going to come in and do whatever they need to do to come out and keep this thing going. It seems like a lot of the guys, of course you're going to go somewhere on the weekends just to kind of get away for a little bit to catch your breath. But you saw guys at the Sixers game, they were down courtside watching the Sixers. Of course, you saw how Kelsey was with the Phillies, so throughout this time. So, just getting everybody around, just kind of sticking around, just kind of keeping the juices going really helps when you're in that bye week.
Yeah, sir. We refer to them now as the National League champion Phillies, by the way. They're not just the Phillies. They are the National League champion, about to be World Series champion.
Okay, my bad. It's like when you're a doctor, you make everybody call you doctor. So.
Exactly.
Okay, all right.
When you're a lawyer, cool. What are they? Esquire for a lawyer, right?
Yeah, on the monitor.
Exactly. Adam, we talked a lot about this, and Trey, we'll get into the whole conversation, but probably the biggest focal point of our pregame show, and even last week in the podcast, was, you self-scout during the bye week. You try to see some of the things you do well, and then make sure you're not being predictable. And then you also try to fine-tune maybe some of the things you think you can do better. And, of course, the shot play, the deep ball had sort of been absent from the Eagles' offense the last 3 weeks. And lo and behold, if there's one thing that the Eagles really did well above all else today, Adam, it was bringing the shot play back into the offense.
Yeah, shot play is defined by coaches as over 20 yards.
Yeah.
And these were somewhere in between that 20 and 30-yard range. And, yeah, they came out throwing. We said in the pregame, you actually asked me when we were doing our little show there at Rivers after our pregame show, when we were doing our live game watch with the fans there at the sportsbook. You said, give me your top three things. I said, shot plays. Let's go. Come out throwing and get after that secondary. See, it's one of the rare times that the tape matches up to the numbers. The tape tells you their corners aren't very good. The numbers tell you they're second or third worse than the National Football League in giving up production. So why would you not go right after them? And they came out throwing. They did. Once the first couple throws, I don't know, 3 or 4 throws, Hurts was off his game a little bit. Wasn't very accurate. After that, he was throwing dimes. And the protection was mostly good. We know he got hit a little bit in the first half, but they came out like we thought they would do, and they were throwing, and they were very successful.
Yeah, Trey, to your point on the leadership and the focus coming out of a bye, it's good. It's nice that you're home. And right off the bat, the Eagles force a 3-and-out on defense. Then they get the ball on offense. They work the ball down the field that ends in that A.J. Brown touchdown. Now, you think about that A.J. Brown touchdown, right? That was it was a nice throw from Jalen Hurts. There were 2 Steelers defenders that he put it between, but I think we see again, the concept Jason Avant talks about a lot, the late hands, where it feels like while that ball was in the air, you're like, oh, that might get picked. Oh, bam. And he just kind of clean picks it, swipes it out of midair. And the Eagles just haven't had a player who does that consistently like A.J. Brown in a really long time.
Yeah, A.J. Brown is definitely a special receiver out there, just the way he plays through contact and the way he catches with his hands. I mean, when Jalen was having a rough start at the beginning of the series, when the game first started, it was A.J. Brown that made that catch that was right off the ground, picked it off the ground, and kind of got things going. And then it's like, all right, here we go. And then that first touchdown was just an incredible throw because you threw it into double coverage. And A.J. Brown comes down with it, and that's just trusting your player and just knowing that he's going to go out there and make a play for you. And he did.
Do you ever get wowed by this guy? I mean, some of the catches he's made this year are pretty special. And again, it's been quite a while since we've seen someone with those kind of abilities around here.
Yeah, he is definitely everything that he has advertised, and he continues to show that he's going to be a big player for us here, and he just keeps making big plays.
How much of it? I mean, Adam, we talked about the emphasis of it, and I have to feel like this wasn't just taking with I mean, there's always taking what the defense gives, but like Trey said, the first touchdown was really a ball where it could have been, if it not thrown perfectly, it could have been intercepted. So it definitely felt like there was a tone set intentionally. That was the word Jason Avant brought up, an intentional downfield attack that this offense needed to sort of get back to being, one that can stress a defense vertically. That felt like it was supposed to be the play, not just let's take what the defense gives.
Yeah, no, they were going to be aggressive. So you can't worry about, well, there are two guys there. If you feel like the quarterback can make the throw, you make the throw. And he made a great throw. And by the way, the adjustment by A.J. Brown. See, this is the thing we've been talking about for 6 months with A.J. Brown. He'll never get caught for calling for a penalty because we talk about playing through contact. He's the epitome of it. So if you're watching this on YouTube live here, here's his left hand, here's his right hand. He just, or if someone puts their hand up there, he just goes like this. He whacks their hand.
Right.
It's so subtle. You can't call a penalty on it. And if he's trying to create leverage, he does it really quickly. You're not going to call. That's not. He didn't grab the guy's hand.
Right.
You can't get it. It's so quick. You can't get it. And he does it every time. He never gets called because it's not a penalty. And he wins. I can't remember the last time he didn't win a route. Guy is absolutely amazing. If they threw the ball 15 times a game, he probably would get 120, 130 catches this year. That's the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, you see the difference, right? Like, for example, George Pickens, very talented receiver, big, strong physical receiver for the Steelers. He's still learning his way in the game. He got called for a push-off because he wasn't subtle enough, although you can debate whether it was a true push or not. But obviously, he's in a different offense, different things going on right now. But AJ just plays like such a veteran, like such a safety valve who's not just safe as in throw it over the middle and get a few yards, but you can kind of throw it anywhere and expect for him to come down with it. And that's been such an advantage for this offense. And I think it's really helped Jalen Hurts from a confidence standpoint. Jalen doesn't put a lot of balls in harm's way. So that's on Jalen. He's never been that way. And that's a good thing, but now he's not afraid. Like you talked about, there's two defenders there, but I know I got a guy who I trust to come down with it. We saw that a little bit last year with Devontae Smith, even before A.J. Brown was here, where there were certain situations deep down the field where the quarterback would trust Devontae Smith to make the play. And now he's got two guys, and you add Goddard. I think what's really impressive is the team really, had this layoff coming in, facing a Steelers team is not very good, but it just seemed like from a tactical standpoint for what they wanted to do, they were able to do. Now, the question is, if you really look at their entire offense, Trey, it felt like shot put or nothing. There wasn't, not that we're just being nitpicky now, but we were kind of waiting to see a little bit more from the short to intermediate stuff. Seemed they struggled there a little bit, had a few punts, but I mean, again, being nitpicky, but did you feel like it was more feast or famine today than normal?
Well, I mean, but when you go back and you look at it, and I mean, the first touchdown was a 9-play drive.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then, I mean, you only had the 1 3 and out. Well, you had 2 3 and outs, but the other 3 and out was a touchdown. So, I mean, and then the next series was a 12-play drive, and then you had a 3 and out, then you had 3 plays touchdown. So, I mean, yeah, you had some big plays that went the distance, but to me, you mix Dallas into it a lot. You kind of try to find Smith in there a little bit, and and there you go. And then you got A.J. Brown just out there just lighting it up. Why not? I mean, for you to go through a game and you only have one red zone touchdown. And that was just because you had Miles Sanders run it, take it to the house. I mean, after a strip fumble. Other than that, everything was outside of the red zone touchdown. Hey, I'd take that.
Yeah. No, it is funny because, what was that, Adam?
No, I was just saying it's impressive because of the shot plays outside the 20.
Right.
It didn't matter that they didn't get the red zone because they were scoring outside of it. You don't see that very much. It shows you the precise passes. Once Hurts got, I don't know if he just had to get untracked. Because if you remember, Jeff, when you and I were watching the game, man, a lot of balls were taking a nosedive. When he's not accurate, the balls take a dive because the way that he points the football, the way that he throws, he's an over-the-top thrower.
Yeah.
Once he got his feet set, it was over because he got the protection. They got the expected coverage they saw on tape. Mm-hmm. They got it, and they rolled on this team. They're bad. Look, the Steelers are a really bad football team.
Right.
It is, but they did their job.
The Steelers are going to see A.J. Brown in their nightmares. I mean, certainly Mike Tomlin, because A.J. Brown had 6 catches for 153 yards and 1 touchdown in his prior game when he was a Tennessee Titan. This was in 2020 against them. So if you look at these last 2 games, you got 6 for 153 and a touchdown, and then you got today's effort of 6 for 156 and 3 touchdowns. They're going to see this man for a long time in their sleep and be haunted by him. The funny thing, though, is we kind of thought if the shot plays were going to be rediscovered, we talked about the idea of trying to get Quez Watkins more involved. He is a guy who can stress a defense. He can take the top off of them. And you look at he had 1 target, no catches. And, for all the reasons that we've talked about, whether it's Brown, whether it's Goddard, whether it's Devontae Smith, it just feels like Quez Watkins will just not find too many opportunities within this offense. Maybe a game here and there, but he had 6 catches going in, none today. It's just it. Zach. I mean, he's got it. He's probably even thinking even Zach Pascal gets a shot play touchdown and I don't.
Right. But I was going to say one thing though. He was on the field for one of AJ Brown's shot plays.
Mm-hmm.
That also helps. I know he didn't get a catch, but it does help him have him on the field because you got to worry about him. He's so good. I mean, he stretches the field so well.
Yeah,
so having him definitely helps. And by the way, AJ Brown could run. People talk about Alshon Jeffrey. Alshon Jeffrey could go after the football, but he couldn't run that well. This guy can run way better than you think.
Yeah, definitely. Well, right now he could be called Mr. Clear Out because he's helping other people get their one-on-one matchups. A little bit of struggle today, Trey. I want to ask you about not a ton, but in pass protection. I thought there were times where both Lane and Jordan Mailata might have given up the edges. I mean, no T.J. Watt on the field for the Steelers. Anything that you saw there that you thought was going on that's uncharacteristic?
Yeah, not punching, and it's a simple thing, and it's, to me, especially when you look at Jordan, you see how Jordan plays. Like sometimes he starts leaning on guys a little bit, and that gives up the edge. You have to punch, just because it helps create space. It gives you it pushes the defender out a little bit more. Once you lean on him, your outside leg has to drop, and that gives up the edge. And, I just saw him leaning a little too much. And same thing with Lane, where he just sit back there. He's so used to just getting back and allowing guys to just climb into his chest, and then he just sits on them. Okay, that's cool if you have bull rushers, but if you have guys that's going to give you an edge rush, then it creates a problem because then now they're taking the edge, and it makes Hurts have to step up. And, and then now you have Big Hayward, Big Ironhead that's up in there, little Ironhead Jr. that's in the middle of that can cause some problems. So, you end up giving away 3 sacks, I think, in this game, 2 of them in the same series. That's uncharacteristic for this offensive line.
What do you think? I mean, you explained why you saw a lack of punch, but that's not something we ordinarily see, or if we do it, they get away with it. What would you attribute that to? A week off, or just kind of losing your?
Oh, that's how they play. I mean, that's something that they do. They're not. A lot. Now you'll see Jordan punch a little bit more just because he has to do it when you're dealing with an edge rusher. You see them do it when they have games. But a lot of times they sit back. You look at the offensive line a lot of times when you really watch them on it, you watch the 22, you'll see the guys kind of sit back and they have their hands down and they wait for the defensive end to climb into their chest and then they clamp on. And that's something that Coach Stout teaches, and it's something that one of the techniques that he teaches is called the double underhand hooks. It's cool if you have a bull rusher. It's a great technique if you have a bull rusher. But if you have an edge rusher and if you have guys that's going to take edge, it's better to be a puncher, because if you try to get out there and you try to grab, you're going to give up the edge, and then that's what happens. You know, that's the byproduct of it.
All right, definitely something we'll always keep our eyes on going forward. You mentioned that a lot, so that's always something we should monitor. One of the big concerns with the Eagles, if you want to call it a concern, was that they scored a lot of points in the second quarter all year, but were not per se, quote unquote, well-rounded with their scoring. Again, they just scored 35 points. That's one of their season highs, so it's pretty good. Noteworthy, though, Adam, that they scored 2 touchdowns in the second half. So it wasn't like the scoring was as unbalanced as it's been. I guess people could be happy with that.
Yeah, in fact, they came right down and scored in the third quarter.
Right.
Where they started giving Sanders the ball, and he ran really well. Had a lot of room. Their offensive line got off the ball. They looked good there. And this is all you need to know about this game. They pulled the starters with about 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
First time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, and remember they play Thursday, so that was really smart.
Yes.
Trusting the players to close, and they didn't give up any points in the fourth quarter. Boy, what a great job! You can say all you want about how bad the Steelers are, but when you pull your starters, there's plenty of time left. We knew they were going to win. That was never a question. The question is, would they give up points with the backups? And they did not. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, look, Trey, we can say this. I mean, the Eagles are good. We know that. But look, even good teams, week after week, some of these games coming down to the fourth quarter, a lot of games where the lead's going neck and neck, even for the good teams. Like, Minnesota had that with Arizona. I think they had to come back and win that game in the fourth quarter if they won. So there's just, for week after week, to be able to kind of control and have the game in the bag, and as Adam mentioned, to be able to put your backups in, and it's really hard to make an argument for anybody in the NFC right now, really, step into the Eagles and or at least being as impressive as they are. Certainly nobody else.
No. Like I said, like my only concern would be the Giants. Just because they find a way to win in the fourth quarter, man. I mean, they hang around and they find a way to put up points in the fourth quarter. And that's usually when besides this game, we start tapering off in that second half. But I mean, this game right here was probably, it's amazing. Like we're what are we right now? We're 7-0?
7-0.
We're 7-0, and we're talking about this game like, oh yeah, hum. Hey, 7-0, yeah, all right, cool, man. It's 7-0, and then they came out and they put together a game plan where they scored in the first quarter. Right. Now this is their first time scoring in the first quarter. Is it not? I don't know. I mean, we've been kind of like that first quarter was kind of like, They waited until the second quarter to start.
A couple of first quarter scores.
Yeah, they've had a couple, but nothing Yeah, so now, you start to put together, you try to match it up a little bit, score in the third, you get a couple in the fourth. Hey, man, we're starting to get a complete game. It's starting to come around.
Yeah, well, they are starting to come around at 7-0.
Yeah,
we're really rounding into form now. Well, they're certainly offensively 35 points, a very good showing. And as Adam said, smart to get the backups in. You know what also is smart? It's smart to go to manscaped.com and use that promo code ITB to get yourself 20% off all of Manscaped's great products. They got nose trimmers, they got below the belt trimmers, they got ear hair. You want to trim something on your body, then Manscaped has probably made a device to help you with that. So it's that time of the year. We're getting close to the holidays. You want to get a gift, you want to get something for somebody from Manscaped, just go to manscaped.com. Use that promo code ITB and get yourself 20% off. All right, let's talk about the defense. Trey, before we kind of analyze what happened today defensively, I do want to get your just viewpoint on the big trade that brought Robert Quinn to the team. That was, you look at this man's accomplishments throughout his career. It's not just like you added a little bit for depth there. That's a premier player, even though he's 33, that they were able to add to this defense.
Yeah, I think he's going to add he's going to start turning on once he gets here, now that he's here and starting to play. You know what? I thought that he was a great addition. He and Sweat kind of had the same style of rush. When you look at the way, just because they have the long arms, they come with the one-hand stab. They both use that little hop out, clean move that my man Chuck Smith was teaching down there in Atlanta. So they kind of use the same type of move. They had the same type of skill set. But I think that he's definitely going to start turning it on more just because of his secondary. Like I've said before, secondary dictates sacks to me. I think that with the secondary, how can you not? And I think that, he's going to start turning it on. He did not get a sack tonight, but I think it's going to continue to come.
Yeah, isn't that kind of funny, Adam? He didn't get a sack, but his presence there, all of a sudden, a pass rush that's sort of been inconsistent. All of a sudden, you got Javon Hargrave all over the quarterback. Reddick's getting to the quarter. Marlon, the biggest thing we said was, all right, well, when you add a player like this, then naturally either one or several people are going to see their snaps reduced, and then you ride the hot hand. And everybody had the hot hand. They were running to the quarterback at points today.
Yeah, we said this in a pregame show. The Steelers have a below-average offensive line that's sort of been overachieving, but you also have to look at their schedule. And the Eagles, first half, they didn't get a ton of pressure, a little bit. Third quarter, they started to get after it. Then Pickett started rushing his throws because they were well behind. And this is what happens. Teams start piling up pressures when when it's obvious what you have to do in the second half. Makes it a little bit easier. They wound up with 6 sacks, 2 turnovers, I believe. Mm-hmm. And in the end, they got the job done. It was a pretty clean game. Unfortunately, with Jordan Davis's injury, which looks bad, right leg injury.
Definitely. We'll get into that in a second, yeah.
Yeah, Josiah Scott had an ankle injury. But overall, it's kind of game you got what you thought you were going to get. The Steelers they have a really strange offensive scheme where they ask their players, the receivers and tight ends, to win on their own. They don't scheme them open very well, which is not today's NFL usually, but that's why they have trouble scoring. The Eagles, by the way, just back to their offense, they've not had a game where they've scored less than 20 points. It's pretty impressive in today's NFL. Teams having problems scoring.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it's like if you grade on a curve, averaging 25 points this year is like averaging 35 points in another year, because you're right, the scoring has been down. What did you think in general, both of you guys, so I'll start with Trey, just in general of the 4-man rush early on? Because as Adam noted, I thought that there were times Pickett had more time than I expected him to have. Now, he may not have made the throw or he may have left the pocket, but just from a pure 4-man rush standpoint, Trey, I thought maybe, I guess, a little meat left on the bone there early on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a couple times, there were times, the offensive line did their job. But, the defense, the defensive front wasn't able to get there, and then there were times that Pickett got rid of the ball quicker. There were times where they kind of mixed in some of those, now this is the thing. When you go back and you look at it, and it's like, all right, you know what? Some of these games are starting to show some of the stuff that kind of gives us problems that we have to make corrections on, like the play action. Like play action was always a problem. Then the draws was starting to cause a problem for us later on in the game. Of course, we already had it in hand, but still, you start seeing some of that, and then you start seeing other teams start to implement it. But I thought that our defensive front overall, there were times that you kind of gave them a little time to get rid of the ball. But, to come out of this game with 6 sacks, a sack fumble, it's hard to the nitpick them when you come out of this thing with 6 sacks. Yeah, man. Yeah, you gave up sometimes. I mean, you saw Reddick out there come through with a 5 down front, and they ran a game right across the middle, and he came through clean. There were times that guys was out there just making noise, but you come out of here with 6 sacks. Now, if it's 0 sacks, then I really get in here and we're going to break it down. But 6 sacks, yeah, man, it's a job.
It's pretty clear. I mean, Adam, it seems like when Jonathan Gannon faces a young quarterback like Pickett today, Cooper Rush, Trevor Lawrence, he does not turn the pressure up. It's almost like he says, I'll dare you to play a perfect game. I'll dare you to march your offense down the field and not make a mistake. When he plays some of the better, more veteran quarterbacks, Kirk Cousins, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, maybe I shouldn't say better, but more veteran quarterbacks, he definitely has turned up the pressure a little bit more on those guys. So it seems like we're starting to witness the pattern a little bit here, where he just expects a young guy to make the mistake on his own.
Yeah, I would say they selectively blitz. This is what we talked about in the pregame show. You asked me, were they up the blitz pressure in the second half? I said, no, that's not what Gannon believes. It's not the Fangio scheme. Fangio believes in execution. So it's like, here's what we run. Here's what you guys need to do. We'll blitz when we think we need to blitz. And that's really what Gannon did. They hit Pickett 11 times today. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So look, the scheme is good, man. And I'll tell you what, they're so good on the back end.
Yeah, listen, I agree. Trey, you always talk about how the marriage between pass rush and coverage, and I think the coverage has actually, there have been times we just talked about where the pass rush isn't great, but the coverage is actually still managed to be pretty sticky. I thought the coverage won in the first half.
Yeah. Yeah, to me, like I said, I'm a firm believer in coverage is what gets you sacks. And, you know, and with this secondary here, that's what's going to win. I mean, you got Slay and Bradbury out there, man. These guys are the best in the game. And I mean, you know, to me, I think that this duo, our secondary, helps us when we can go out there. When we say, hey, man, we came out of here with 6 sacks, I look at the secondary. And say, man, y'all did a heck of a job. Like when you look at it, because I was just talking about this. I went and spoke to the Eagles, spoke at an Eagles event the other day. And I thought about the 85 Bears they have a standing record right now, 72 sacks in the season. You know, and everybody talks about that defensive front. Oh my God. But I'm like, man, who was that secondary? Yeah. I mean, for you to come out of this with 72 sacks, man, you had to have a nasty secondary on that group.
That's true. That's true. Wasn't Ron Rivera in that second?
Yeah, Ron Rivera was on that game, on that team.
He was a linebacker.
He was a linebacker.
Yeah, he was a linebacker. Leslie was there as well.
Leslie, right.
Jeff Fisher for a couple of years.
Forgot about it. There you go. One guy. Well, two more things I want to hit on with the defense. I think we'll see it eventually because we talked about it and it seems to make sense. We didn't see it today, I don't think, but the idea that maybe now you can throw a little bit of a NASCAR package out there where you may have Quinn on the outside, Reddick on the outside. And it seems like it would be a good opportunity to get Brandon Graham on the field with them and put him inside like they did the Super Bowl year and even the year after a little bit because he can beat guards. And of course, we all know about the sack strip of Tom Brady, his most famous play there. But do you see that eventually evolving? I know that means you have to take either Hargrave or Cox out. And today Hargrave looked like he was shot out of a cannon, but I feel like that's an advantage or maybe a wild card trade that eventually they'll get to at some points.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to get to that, but you're not. I mean, if anybody's going to come out, it's going to be Hargrave. You're going to keep Fletcher Cox in there, because I saw some explosiveness out of Fletcher Cox today that I hadn't seen in a while. You know, Fletcher's he's been playing pretty solid this as things have been going on. But man, when you got Reddick out there, you can bring Sweat. And then now you can get BG out there and get Quinn. I mean, you know, that's a nasty front. And then the thing that's good about Reddick, you can stand him up. And, you know, you can have him, he can be the floater. And you know, you never know if he's going to drop back in coverage or if he's going to be the known rusher. So that's one of the issues that's going to cause some problems with offensive lines as they continue to move forward.
No doubt about it. All right, unsung hero today. He had 13 tackles, 2 passes defended, including a tip that led to an interception. His name doesn't always jump out in a game like this, but Adam, he's our guy, man. TJ Edwards, another fantastic game for this dude.
All over the place. It's rare that, because the Eagles have been much maligned linebacker for many years. They're so much more solid than they had been in years. And yeah, it's 57. TJE was all over today. Two passes defense. They use him as a blitzer every now and then, right up the middle. Yeah, he had a very good game, no question about it. And look, their defense came to play. There's no doubt. I'm going to be interested to see what happens when they play the better quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers. They'll play here. I know they're struggling to move the football, but still Aaron Rodgers, who's had a lot of success against the Eagles. And some of the better quarterbacks later in the season. But you're seeing now.
Are there any?
Well, yeah, there will be. Daniel Jones has improved.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the Eagles have a very good schedule. There's no question about it.
It's like I'm going to be interested to see when they play the good quarterback on their schedule, which is in like 6 weeks.
The one. Well,
the one good one, and he's actually having his worst year as a pro, Aaron Rodgers.
Well, so. Dak got to face them as long as Dak doesn't get hurt again. They'll face him in Week 16. But yeah, you're right. They have a very good schedule.
Yeah, I can tell you, friend, that game Week 16 may not matter the way things are going, though. So we'll see if TJ Edwards even on the field at that point, the way things have been going for the Eagles. But certainly a decision that this team is going to have to make in the offseason. They have TJ Edwards with 1 year on his deal now. Kaiser White signed a 1-year deal, and Nakobe Dean waiting in the wings. You have no idea how they really feel about him at the moment. I mean, we know they liked him and thought he had a camp, but they're all making it hard for the Eagles to have to make this decision, which is a good problem to have now, but not so great when the season's over. But I almost don't know who you say goodbye to or how you do it at this point. I mean, Trey, man, how good TJ Edwards is, you can make an argument he's been their best defensive player.
Yeah, he has. And I mean, besides Reddick, he definitely has. I think TJ has been the linebacker that everybody has been waiting for.
Yeah.
You know, for over the past couple of years, you've just been, man, where's the linebacker? Where's the linebacker? And here you are, TJ Edwards, and he's been that guy. And that's what all players are supposed to do. You're supposed to make it hard for the GMs to make that decision on who are they going to say goodbye to and who are they going to extend. And TJ is definitely doing that.
Is there a guy you played with that you felt was such a compensator with football intelligence for athleticism? Because TJ Edwards, again, not the greatest athlete from a testing standpoint, but is always in the right place at the right time. And his football intelligence is off the charts. Anybody that you can remember playing with, like, damn, that guy is just 3 steps ahead?
No, not that I can think of.
Yeah, you weren't on I guess enough good teams. I don't know.
Yeah, and then like I wasn't watching what they were doing. Like I had Juan in my face all the time when we came off the field, you know, so I really didn't get a chance. I was trying to hit the oxygen tank, get some Gatorade, and let's get ready to get back out there, you know, so I really wasn't paying attention.
You could have just been a nice line mate and said, yeah, Jamal Jackson, just throwing a name out.
Well, Jack was awesome, man. Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. All right, we're going to take a short break to hear from our friends at Rivers Casino and Sportsbook. Then we'll come back and talk a little bit about special teams and some injuries and the short rest for a Thursday night game. But let us hear from our friends at Rivers Casino and Sportsbook.
Game night for me is every night. At the place where I meet up with the guys, grab a cold one, and watch the big game on the big screen. So whether it's the money line, the pass line, or a parlay, I'm in it to win. This is my city, and this is my place.
All right. Big thanks to our friends at Rivers Casino and Sportsbook out there in Philadelphia, where we do our pregame show. And we had a watch party before the game. Adam Caplan and I did. And I got to say, this is the second year of us doing watch parties at Rivers Casino. We do a couple every year. This was definitely the best crowd, the most spirited crowd. Yeah. They were like really into Inside the Birds. That was fun. We have one Steeler fan there, even at halftime when they were down by whatever it was, like 11 or 12 at half, was insistent that the Steelers were going to win that game outright. And I'm almost sorry that I'm not still at Rivers Casino now to see his face, because everybody sitting around this guy thought he was nuts, and he was nuts, but he was very strong in his convictions about it.
I don't know if he's a Steeler fan though. He
wasn't wearing any Steelers gear.
No,
I think he was just contrarian.
Yeah, he was, and he's like convinced that the Eagles would run the ball. That they let the game get close. I was like, dude, why don't you take the money line?
Yeah,
you think so much about the Steelers.
Yeah,
put your money where your mouth is, because you look 10.5-point spread. Vegas clearly thought the Eagles would blow them out.
Mm-hmm. And they did. And it was a great time. Yeah, a great time there at Rivers Casino and Sportsbook. The looks of the other guys' faces, by the way, when this guy would yell out, I think he might have been a Cowboy fan, because only a Cowboy fan could be that much of a contrarian and try to get away with it in Philadelphia. Trey, if there's one continued nitpicking that we're going to do on this team, it's special teams.
Yes.
Where, again, you saw a decent return against them in kickoff return. You saw a fake punt twice. Yes. Now, twice for this, or not twice today, but for the second time this year, a fake punt executed against the Eagles successfully. How do they clean that up? Is that coaching? Is that talent?
I think that's coaching. That's more on the coaching, because when it comes to, like, especially when it comes to kickoff return and punt return and all that, like, some of those guys are on your defense. I mean, so it's not a talent issue. So to me, I think it's just more of just getting the guys in position and just wanting to get it done. Because, one of the things that's hard about special teams, sometimes you got guys, like, look at Malcolm Jenkins. Look at Malcolm Jenkins back when he played. I mean, he was out there on kickoff and played 99% of the plays that was going on out there. So sometimes that's what happens. So, guy might be like, look, I'm just going to run down here and then get ready to line up, because I got to go out here and play defense as well. So, that's just something that Mike is going to have to control as a coach, and just make sure that everybody's on the same page and everybody understands how important this is before he finds himself on the outside looking in.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I have a famous expression that Adam laughs at every time I say it. And my expression, which is true, by the way, this is based on historical precedent, is that there is no other team other than the Eagles that fires assistant and position coaches when the team makes the playoffs more than the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, they didn't do it last year, but they did wind up getting rid of their entire front office instead. But I think you're making a good point, Adam. He's fair with this. The Eagles will not be afraid to make a change, even if they win. If they win the Super Bowl, they'll do that. In fact, they won the Super Bowl and made some changes that year too. So he really has to get his act together on some of that stuff. And again, maybe it's personnel. I don't know, but I mean, this is sort of sticking out like a sore thumb.
Look, first of all, you have a very average punter. Okay,
that is
true. Is nothing special. He's very average. There's nothing special about the guy. Cam Johnson, they wanted to bring back, but the Texans blew him away with an offer, so they decided not to go in that direction. And they tried this kid who's with the Lions. He's been disappointing. Let's call it like it is. Elliott's revived his career. They've done a great job of rehabbing his career, but the coverage is very shaky. You mentioned the now two fakes, which they've gotten beat on. That should never happen.
Yeah.
And return game is so disappointing.
They don't have a kick returner. Let's just be real about it.
Don't.
Covey's not a kick returner.
He's a punt returner. He's shaky at that.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, is there anybody on the 53 right now that you Boston Scott can return kicks? Do you put him back there just for a little spark? Is it that important, Trey?
Wouldn't mind seeing Boston Scott return a kick. That might be nice. Yeah. I don't like seeing Devontae out there.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
I'm not a big fan of that because he just seems like if the wind blows hard, like it could go bad. You know what I'm saying? So, I think he means a lot to this offense. That I would much rather see him at receiver, even though we put Sean Jackson and Brian Westbrook back there during our time. But just with this era, I'm kind of I don't know. I don't like seeing him back there.
Yeah, I was kind of confused. I didn't understand why there. You're winning the game. You got a bad Steelers team. What do you think was? I'm just trying to figure out why they thought on that time we're going to put Devontae Smith out there to return.
Yeah, I think situationally, if they don't like what they see, because it was it the second punt return?
I thought it was the third, but it could have been.
But
I'm not sure.
I don't think they like the way that he returned it. That would be my guess.
Yeah,
we'll look into that, but it was definitely a little bit odd. And I'm with Trey. I think you're kind of asking for trouble. They got away with it for the most part with Deshaun. I don't remember him ever getting hurt on the return, but you're just putting someone out there for extra for some that's not part of the regular job.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it, but I hate to say they need to be desperate about it, but it's not acceptable. So this is the NFL's. Well, if they're not the best team, they're certainly the best team in the NFC. I think that's obvious. Right. If you want to win a Super Bowl, you try to be as good as you can in every area. Let's call it like it is. They're below average as a special teams unit, all of them together.
Yeah. We'll see if they do anything again. There are a couple days to the trade deadline, which we're going to talk about in a second. See if there's any upgrade that they make that would help them in that department too. But obviously, it is something that, again, when you're 7-0, it sort of goes under the radar. But then you play a close game, you play a good team, you don't get, you give up a couple of yards on a return, and that could be the difference between winning or losing. And we'll see if any changes are made there. We're going to we got the short rest for Thursday night to talk about, a couple of injuries that I want to get to, and some trade deadline and NFC stuff I want to get to really quickly. We'll take our break right now to hear from our friends at Sky Motor Cars.
Sky Motor Cars in Westchester is a different sort of dealership. All it takes is one look at their Highline pre-owned vehicles that people over the country want and need. Owner Brett Schulter, make sure you don't spend a dime of your money before you purchase the car. Sky Motor Cars allows you to make all the decisions regarding your next vehicle. At Sky Motor Cars, you never have to spend more than necessary. Visit SkyMotorCars.com today or call 610-918-7225.
All right, big thanks to our friends at Sky Motor Cars. If you're out there in Westchester, PA, and hop in to Sky Motor Cars, make sure you tell them Adam and Jeff sent you. You'll get a great deal. If not, just visit them at SkyMotorCars.com. So, obviously, everybody saw the big guy getting carted off the field there. He suffered some type of leg injury, whether it's, I think they called it ankle. They have a short rest here. So if it's a high ankle or anything even, minor, it's going to be hard, I would think, Trey, to get him ready to go for Thursday night. You think that's going to impact their run defense considerably?
You know what? I think that this group, when they go 5 down, no one's running on them either way. I think that he definitely having Big Jordan out there is definitely an addition. But you know, and you definitely want to see him out there. He's your first round draft pick. You want to see him out there, but if he needs to take the time to get healthy, I think this team will be okay, especially against Houston.
Yeah, you wonder though what they will do formationally because Adam, they don't really have a nose they don't have anybody Jordan Davis' size. Yeah. And while they have a couple of players, for example, Marlon Tuipulotu, who have played a little nose in college, they don't. We joke. We didn't joke. We talked about when they had Noah Ellis as a rookie free agent in camp. He was the only other guy on the team that could play that position at that weight. He was a 350-pound nose tackle. So I don't know if they can really execute their 5'1" or 5'2" look as well without the big guy. I mean, there's just really nobody else. They may have to be a little bit different schematically. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, look, they did it without Jordan Davis last year, but I don't know how much they'll do it. And as you said, it's a short week. So Trey, let me ask you a question. When you play Sunday and you have to play Thursday, what's the practice week like for you?
So it's usually you take Mondays off and you probably come in on Tuesday. So you'll probably come in on Tuesday, light practice Tuesday, very light practice on Wednesday. It's pretty much a walkthrough throughout these couple, and especially with this team, with the way they do things now this year, where you're not putting on pads and all that. That's done, you know. So you'll probably come in on Tuesday, get a light practice, then Wednesday, you're flying out Wednesday. So
don't you come in Mondays just for a little?
They might have to come in on Monday just to kind of do some film and do a quick a quick rehab just to kind of make sure everything is good, and then you get back to it. Tuesday, you're going because now you have another mini bye week. You're going to take Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. You're probably going to take Monday and Tuesday off as well, depending on how well they play. So they might come out of there as getting 4 or 5 days off after this.
What gets kind of sort of by the wayside in a truncated week like that? Do they not spend as much time on corrections because you're already on to the next
still
opponent?
have to get these corrections in, you know, just because you don't want to repeat it. But I think that you're only gonna hop on what needs to be corrected right away, and then it's gonna be all right. Let's get on to Houston,
right?
Because you're gonna have to get on to Houston real quick. So they'll show quick corrections probably tomorrow, and then we'll get right back into Houston and get going. You know, by Tuesday, Wednesday, and then you're flying out Wednesday, and then off you go.
Right. So Trey, last year they didn't have Jordan Davis, and what they usually played on first down was sort of a Cox and Hargrave on the inside. They would play Sweat and BG got hurt. Who would they play? Sweat and Barnett on the outside, and then they brought Jannard Avery in as like a overhang just to play against the run. Do you think that that'll be a little bit more what they'll look like? Because they didn't use any. They used the 3-eye, 4-eye instead of a pure nose. Do you think that they'll probably go back to something like that?
Probably mix some of that in, you know, because that's something that's not foreign to them, you know, because, I mean, you already have a plan for it. So it's good that they've already had to experience this without Jordan Davis, so that helps. So, I mean, you probably put Fletcher and Hargrave down in there, and then now you have Reddick, and you can probably figure out Quinn, how you're going to factor him into the game plan.
Does the travel make this a little bit more difficult with a short turnaround on a Thursday night where you're traveling? Granted, they're playing a team that's not very good, but does that make a difference?
No, you kind of you know, it's not like how it used to be where, you know, everybody was taking those Toradol shots and everything, and your pain was delayed, you know, because usually I'm just telling you, like usually stuff when we would do Toradol, man, it sucked. Like after Monday night, Tuesdays would be rough, you know. So, you know, so it's not like that anymore. So I think that these guys are kind of rehab and be a little bit better conditioned, and bodies will feel a little bit better to move on and get ready to go. And then being pulled out towards the end of the game really helps. You know, that's a couple extra plays that you don't have to put on your body. The defense with the rotations that they're doing with the defensive front, that's helping as well. So all of this is playing into their favor.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see. Obviously, that does play into their favor. And of course, again, the Houston Texans, not a very good team. So the Eagles will be really it'll be one of those games, I think, where the Eagles will, if they lose, it's because they beat themselves. Maybe had some issues. We'll get into it.
But this is a team that you want to come in and jump on again, and you want to jump on quick and get it out of the way so that you can pull your starters out again at the end, and then let's cruise on out of here.
It's a goal to have. You know what? Not that, I mean, you can't game plan it like that, but I'll tell you what, if they roll on this team, get everyone out. Get everyone out. I love that they did that. I was not expecting that. It's really smart coaching. I do wonder if they were playing next Sunday, what if they pulled them that early? Who knows?
There you go. All right. Trade deadline is Tuesday, Adam. We reported on Inside the Birds. Howie Roseman has done his homework on other positions, not just pass rusher. Running back is an area where he's looking. And I wonder after today, especially if you can find that running back who can maybe also return kicks. If obviously the names are out there. Kareem Hunt would probably be the lead candidate if you were looking for that kind of a guy. I would.
Yeah.
think.
So other teams we talked to this past week or so, they continue to mention Kareem Hunt to us.
Yeah.
That Philly's in on him. There are 3 or 4 teams in on him. And what's happened is there might be more than that they lower their asking price. They were asking for a 2nd-round pick for a backup running back. Are you out of your mind?
I know. That's crazy.
He's a good player, though.
Yeah.
Pass protect, excellent receiver out of the backfield. Could handle volume carries. They don't give him volume because Nick Chubb's amazing.
Right.
And remember now, he's on the final year of his deal. David Montgomery's name has been bandied about for some people around the league when it comes to the Eagles. The guy we know for the 19th draft, they liked him.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what Chicago wants to do. They did lose against Dallas on Sunday.
Yeah.
So that they got 49 points. But overall, the running back position, do they need to do anything? No. At pass rusher, they thought they needed one more guy. They got that guy. That's checked off.
Mm-hmm.
Could they go into the playoffs with this group of running backs? Sure, but it's what would happen if someone got hurt. And I give them this. They're getting away with their 4-minute offense with the backs that they have. It's working. But it's always, can we be better? That's the way you have to look at it.
That is accurate. And I would keep my eye on Kareem Hunt. I mean, we'll see what happens, but he is a running back that I think that because of his situation and what the Browns may be doing, he's a guy who would come in here and probably be a good thunder lightning combo with Miles Sanders. And if there's a move that puts a team over the top, which Howie Roseman just did in his mind defensively, I don't think he'd be afraid to do it offensively. Trey, could you imagine a Sanders Kareem Hunt combination here?
Yeah, that would be nice. I like the idea of it.
Yeah, I'm sure Howie Roseman does too. So we will see.
One thing,
all right.
One thing I want to mention: another motivation that the Browns have is they have Dearness Johnson, who they guaranteed some of his RFA tenor, which rarely happens. Chubb's a stud, and they love this Jerome Ford. I'm told, has got a high ankle sprain. They expect him back very soon. He's on IR. I'm told the injury's healed. You don't need 4 backs. I understand that would leave the Eagles with too many backs, but you know what? It's really 2 guys who could be the main guys and one more guy, and then one guy would have to be inactive if you do it.
Right.
And Trey Sermon, I don't know. I don't know what their issue is with him. Why he can't? He's the one back with size. I don't get it.
Yes. Yeah. No. Again, he was inactive today, so it's very very interesting. All right. It won't be long before you're hearing from us because we'll be back on Thursday night. That's just a couple of days from now. So the Eagles will again play the Houston Texans on Thursday night. We'll have the Inside the Birds pregame show as we always do at Rivers Casino in Philadelphia. That one will start at 5 p.m. because it's a night game. And then we won't wait long. Right after the end of the game, it'll be Adam Caplan, Trey Thomas, and I bringing you Inside the Birds postgame live. Look forward to doing that and to this week of great content. So for Adam Caplan and Eagles Hall of Fame tackle Trey Thomas, I'm Geoff Mosher. Thanks for watching Inside the Birds postgame live.